but the brand Marvel alone doesn't guarantee a hit anymore. So just the franchise name is just not enough. And sometimes just being a good movie is not enough. Ask the Thunderbolts. School's in session. I'm Mr. Guzman. Welcome to the classroom. On this episode of the classroom, we're going to do a little something different. I usually have a lot of edits going on, a lot of kind of video essay type things. Today, I'm just going to kind of talk to you guys because I really want to talk about something that's been on my mind with the summer movies coming out, with how the box office for superhero movies in general, not just Marvel, has been doing for the last couple years, really, since the writer's strike is really what I'm talking about. And what's the state of the movies today, and what does that mean going forward? And also, if the movies that are coming out, again, the biggest ones in superheroes for DC is Superman coming out very soon. And then we also have the Fantastic Four, of course. I mean, there's made like 4 videos about the Fantastic Four, and that's going to be coming out this month as well. And those are the 2 biggest movies, the biggest characters in each of their I want to say franchises, those studios that should be coming out this year, right? Again, we're not having Avengers this year. We're not having like a Justice League thing this year either. All right. But let's just talk about a little something. Let's talk about the state of Marvel, the state of DC, and whatever else kind of movies there are out there. All right, here we go. And I do have a little bit of graphics I found. I did a little bit of research on some of the things that are going on. But let's look at it first here. Let's look at exactly what is going on here. First off, let's look at the last like 5-ish movies that have come out thus far. The best movie of the last 5 superhero movies, DC or Marvel, that have come out, the best one that did the best was we had Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Made over $1 billion worldwide. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to show you these numbers right here. It says, according to the numbers I got today, most of this from Wikipedia, 636.7 million domestic for Deadpool and Wolverine. And altogether with the worldwide, we got $1.338 billion. Then we have Captain America, probably made the second most money overall, 200 plus domestically, and about 415 million altogether with worldwide. Then we had Thunderbolts, which was the one I have talked about it before, where they had one of the best movies so far that I've seen. I personally like it better than Deadpool and Wolverine, which did very well. I like it better than Captain America: Brave New World. But it only made 190 million domestically, which again, the average person, 109 million sounds like a lot, but they got to recoup a lot of these expenses, this marketing, the actors, all that. Worldwide, 382. I heard it's closer to 400 now, but still, that's about with marketing costs, with all the extras things that go along with promoting a movie. That's about breaking even. That's about breaking even for this particular movie. And then we had a couple of lower hanging fruit, if you would. We had Blue Beetle, which I personally thought was amazing. I really enjoyed that movie. And that made only 72.5 domestically and 131 in the worldwide, with the worldwide. In those days, though, Blue Beetle was pretty much one of the last DCEU, like if the Zack Snyder verse, whatever you want to call it, one of those, it was in that franchise, those studios. Again, with Superman, we're starting a new DC, so it's going to be called DCU, not DCEU. And again, great movie, but no one watched it. And then we had Kraven the Hunter from Sony Marvel Studios, which is different from the MCU, if you didn't know. And that was pretty much a flop. It made about 62 million worldwide, the whole world. I think it was. I'm not even sure it recouped all its costs. But let's talk about the current landscape over here. Sorry for that clap. That might be loud. So is this a make or break summer for superhero films? I believe this is probably the most important summer that the MCU and the DC studios, whatever they were called the last few years or what they called now, it's probably one of the most important summers of all time. Because we had Marvel especially, right? We've seen some mixed returns. Deadpool and Wolverine, $1 billion. Everyone's like, oh, they're back. Doesn't matter. We're going to start printing money again every time we make a Marvel movie. And then you had something like Thunderbolts, and then you had Captain America. Captain America made less money, about a third of the money, right? But did okay, did pretty solid. However, with a name like Captain America on the title, when you have Hulks in the title, that's more of a traditional superhero movie. You would expect even more, right? And when you had a movie like Thunderbolts, which was amazing. A lot of people didn't expect it. A lot of people weren't even going to watch it. They didn't even know if it was a Marvel movie for average people. But it turned out to be one of the better movies that Marvel's made, in period. One of the better ones. I would say maybe top 5. Could be as far as storyline or as far as acting. It was great. It was really, really good. And it underperformed, right? It was critically acclaimed. Rotten Tomatoes loved it. Audience scores loved it, but people didn't want to spend money on it. So that puts us in a weird place, right? The weird place is that it's not for sure now that the brand Marvel, let's talk about Marvel, we'll talk about DC in a second, but the brand Marvel alone doesn't guarantee a hit anymore. It used to be, no matter what you put out. I remember when Captain Marvel 1 came out, it made about $1 billion as well. And I thought that was one of the more boring movies overall. It was solid again, wasn't bad, but compared to other movies that was in that phase, like phase 3 movies, I thought it wasn't the top 5 of the phase. And let's see here. And this summer too. Okay, now we're talking about Marvel. Let's switch it back to DC now. So DC, right? They're doing a little different than Marvel. Marvel's trying to maintain that energy they had all the way up until Endgame. There's been that drop off so far. The quality has been up and down, right? You got like phase 4 and phase 5. You have Loki and WandaVision, which are some of the best Marvel shows ever. And then you have shows like She-Hulk, and you also have shows like Secret Invasion. And the quality was the big disparity between the two. And even with movies, right? We just came off of Endgame, and then we had movies that kind of got beat up in the internet, in the comments, like Eternals, the Marvels, and things like that. So we did have those kind of movies that looks like, so Marvel, they're trying to bounce back. We're trying to bounce back, trying to get that energy from Thunderbolts, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and say, this is the quality that we want. And come watch us and keep spending the money so we can keep making these big budget movies. But for DC, Superman really needs to make about, they were saying here in my research, about $115 to $135 million domestically in the first weekend to really hit the numbers they want. They do want to get to like 700 million global at the very least. Again, that would make a lot of money if they made that much. But if you're James Gunn and you're starting this whole new studio, again, it's a DCU reboot, pretty much all new Superman. It's going to be all new Batman, new everybody, Wonder Woman, all that. So this is the flagship. This is the first one they're putting out there to say, this is what the DCU with James Gunn is all about. So if you like this, you're going to like all the other stuff coming out, whether it's, I believe it's called Creature Commandos. I think there's a Green Lanterns show coming out, and there's a lot of cool stuff, right? I'm really excited to see what they do with Batman. That's one of the characters that I've read a lot that James Gunn has said that that's his biggest problem right now is Batman, because it's been done so many times. Like, what do you do when you're reintroducing them yet again? And I guess it's a good problem to have, right? I wish I had that problem and be like, oh, when am I going to get to use this IP of Batman? That's one of the most popular IPs in the world. But it makes sense, though. It makes sense, right? Because James Gunn's like, we're launching this thing, man. If Superman is a flop, like people are saying that it's trash. This is if. I haven't seen it yet. Reviews have just started trickling in from the premieres. If it's a flop, then it's going to be like, well, why are we going to watch the rest of all these other shows and all these other movies that you're going to put out? It's going to be as if superhero fatigue hit them right in the beginning. And similarly, Fantastic Four must land a strong opening too. Let's say Marvel, slightly different reasons, but similar reasons, right? Because when the general audience, in my book, when they are watching these movies or gonna decide if they're gonna watch these movies, they're they don't really distinguish, I feel, DC from Marvel from an outside studio. That's why a lot of people, general people, thought Madam Web was an MCU movie. I think even the actors thought it was when they signed on. Yes. And though with all these movies, we have seen gradually recovering. I mean, all box offices have been lower since the writer's strike. Again, we're slowly but surely getting back with big movies like Mission Impossible. Even Lilo and Stitch, good for a family movie, did pretty good. So again, we're getting some of that confidence back into theaters. But even though they're recovering, viewers are more discerning now. They're seeking quality and good storylines over just the franchise name. So just the franchise name is just not enough. And sometimes just being a good movie is not enough. Ask the Thunderbolts, right? Florence Pugh, she was amazing. If you haven't seen this movie, like buy it. It's on streaming right now. You have to buy it though, but I mean, I might have to buy it myself because I really miss watching it in the theaters. And I can't wait probably for a few more weeks until it gets on regular stream. And all right, let's talk about what could happen. Let's talk about we have big hits, right? If it's a big hit, that could validate the current strategies, secure budgets, and encourage continued cinematic universes for here on to come, right? Because other studios too. If Marvel does good and there's similar guys, like I mean, if Marvel didn't have the success they had, we might not even seen the original DCEU with like Man of Steel and Justice League and Batman v Superman, right? Because if you're a money guy, you're just looking at the bottom line. You're not really looking like, oh yeah, that character was great. I want to do this. It's more like which one's going to make money, right? If you're the executive. So if they do make money, and again, Fantastic Four and Superman, I think they are. I think this is going to be the right combination of. I'm kind of backtracking, but I'm going to keep going. Of people that understand these characters, or like they're well-known characters, more recognizable characters. I mean, Superman's the biggest, probably recognizable character of all of them, I would say, even more than Spider-Man, even more than Iron Man and those guys. That's what I think. And I'm a Marvel guy, right? Um, so if you have that aspect, like recognizable characters, and you got the good storyline, then that's when it's going to work. You really need to have those things together. If they're not together, before just the name alone. If you put a Spider-Man movie, everybody would watch it. If you put a Superman movie, everyone would watch it, whether it was trash or not, right? But now audiences are a little more skeptical and they got better taste now, I think. We trained them with the MCU phase 1, 2, 3 to expect greatness. And that's what I expect every time I go out. So again, if we do good hits, and we do this movie, we get the right things right. We got that recognition. We got the good storylines. We're invested into the characters. We're invested in the characters. We're going to keep watching sequels and other franchises. I truly believe that. And all right, let's talk about if it goes moderate or poor. Okay, if they don't make that much money or they don't hit all their goals, it could prompt the studio shakeups. We already seen that with DC, man. The whole DCEU ending was really weird, right? The Rock was saying they were back. Henry Cavill said he was Superman again. Then, like a few days later, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we're all fired, or we're all like recast, or something like this." And there's going to be a whole new universe. So that could happen again, and that could happen with Marvel. I think what really is going to help Marvel out is even if Fantastic Four flops, the fact that they have Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars coming up and another Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man is still one of those characters so far. If it's truly Spider-Man in the movie, I mean, I'm thinking that it's going to be $1 billion every time. Even if you don't have 3 Spider-Man, you can even just have one. They make billions of dollars, at least hundreds of millions, right? But if that happens, though, it could have also for Marvel. I don't think they're gonna like basically shut down the studio, but it can be what we saw when Bob Iger returned to Disney, where we scaled back, right? They scaled back how many shows they were outputting, which I thought was a good move overall. Pivot to streaming, maybe saying, okay, our movies are only going to be on Disney Plus or some other streaming service. Or might do franchise reboots, might do some recastings and things like that. These are, in my book, a little bit of panic moves sometimes by executives. I don't really see the creatives losing faith in themselves. But that's what happens. So, I mean, bottom line is the bottom line. You got to make some money with these things. Otherwise, how are you going to pay for them? Because these are really expensive movies to make. So, um, but then, like, again, I personally don't think that it would be the end of Marvel, the end of DCU, if Fantastic Four First Steps and Superman don't take off, pun intended. If, yeah, those don't do well, I don't think it's going to be the actual end of the studios, but it's going to lead to more cautious studio execs, more tinkering and recalibrations. It could be even more reshoots. I hope that's not the case because I think that's what truly kind of gave Marvel the dip that they got into was the constant reshoots, the constant rewrites, and things like this. The movies that didn't do well, those were the movies that felt disjointed because of things of that nature, in my opinion. Final takeaway. Let's talk about this. This is indeed a pivotal summer. Okay, let me just read it as it is. I'm reading. It's okay. It's okay. You know, brother got to read. So, you know, this is indeed a pivotal summer for both studios. DC blockbuster resurgence or Marvel's next gen ascendancy hinges on whether audiences return in force. And even if results disappoint, it won't spell the end. It's just a hard reset for how franchise films are financed and produced going forward. Yep, that's pretty much what I said in a nutshell. So I do think this is a very important summer for comic book movies. It's one where we have, some of our biggest stars from each studio. Fantastic Four, some of the biggest in Marvel. Superman, the biggest, I would say, in DC, maybe in superheroes in general, depending who you talk to. And if we have these good guys there, usually it was a gimme, right? It's going to be a given. It's going to be great. It's going to make a lot of money. It's going to do all that. So this is one of the few times I've seen two big, solid, very popular groups and characters coming out in movies that I wasn't 100% sure how the box office was going to go. Because I remember when I saw Thunderbolts on the Thursday and it came out on a Friday. And I was like, man, this is going to make $1 billion because this movie's so great. And I was very surprised with a lot of people that it didn't do as good financially as it did. So just the fact that things are good now doesn't mean people are going to show up. But I really do believe that if, again, I'm going to say it, I've probably said like 5 times already, but if you have the recognizable characters and you have the quality, then nowadays that's what we need to go forward and to be successful in superhero type movies. I truly believe this because right now, I thought maybe early 2012s, 2015s, we can get away with that. Yeah, like you can have one or the other, right? Like I got a recognizable character, the story's okay, but people are gonna show up. Venom. I'm talking to you. And you got ones like it could be just a really good story, even if people don't even know who the characters are, and it could work, like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? The average person didn't really know Guardians in 2014. Now we all know them, right? So, and I feel though, if it doesn't do these don't do well, then movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Thunderbolts might not be made anymore. And that's just something I got to think about sometimes. Um, so, anyway, well, our last final thought for this lesson in the classroom is that I'm very excited for this summer. I think these two movies have the full support of the studios, full support of James Gunn and Kevin Feige, respectively, and great actors. All these ones are great actors. The special looks I've seen, the trailers I've seen so far look very exciting, looks very fun. A good mix of comedy, CGI, and story. And I think that's what we need. I think we got to be all hands on deck. And if we can do that and capture that magic from, say, Infinity War, say from Endgame, and I think we're going to make it happen. I think it's going to be good. So let me know what you guys think. I'm hoping that you guys are going to come out this summer and go watch some of these movies too. And let me know, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, or if you see me walking around or you see me at the theater, because I'd be going to the theater a lot, especially with these good movies coming out. Let's talk about it. I want to see what you guys think. Do you think that the studios are gonna shut down these comic movies if they don't make any money, or do you think that people are still gonna keep showing up even if the movies have taken a little bit of a downhill turn because you think they're gonna be uphill pretty soon? I think so anyway. And that's pretty much my thoughts. I am Mr. Guzman. This has been The Classroom, and I'll see you in the theaters, or I'll see you next period.
I love when you count me out. I love when you count me out. I love when you count me out. I love when you count me out.